Most investment properties require a large down payment, but there's a way for people to get around that legally. I'm never one to say that there are tricks to the trade, but there is a trick to buying properties with 3 or 3.5% down payment. Now, usually if you go to a bank and say, hey, I want to buy an investment property, they're going to require a much larger down payment. As an example, my bank, I get great terms, but the second I say investment property for a single family home, it becomes a 35% down payment, boom. If it's a house for me, it's 20% down. I'm fine with that because I don't need to use a ton of leverage to magnify my returns. I'm more about deploying more capital. But most people out there have a need for more capital, so they need to spend less down. Now, how do you get around this? Very simple. You buy a property for yourself to live in. They live in a 1-unit or 2-unit property and use it as a primary residence. They live in the property, they fix up each unit, they rent out the other one, then they go and do it again with another property. If you keep doing this over and over, you can keep buying properties for 3 or 3.5% down. There's obviously a limit on how many properties you can have in your name, but after a couple of years, even if you do one of these every 2 years, that's an immense amount of great properties to buy with only 3 or 3.5% down payment. If you do this for a few years, this can really build a nice starter portfolio for you so you can get some experience and get some great properties that you've renovated with very little money down. And the extra money that you saved can be used towards that renovation. You keep the previous property as a rental, you buy the new property, you do the exact same thing over and over to it. Now remember, in life, there are no shortcuts. Small down payments do have a downside. They can greatly increase your returns. Let me show you exactly what I mean by that. So I have my real estate calculator, and I have my 2 houses I bought in the lake, one in Texas, one in Georgia. And if you look at my mortgage, I have 80% down payment. Let's just skip right to the internal rate of return. I'm at 16.02%. Now watch what happens and look at my cash flow. This is after renovation, but the first year is about $100,000 and grows from there. Watch what happens if I change my down payment to 96.5%. View IRR. Now, my cash flow drops from 100,000 down to 42, but watch my IRR. It jumps up to 21%. Huge jump up. Now, I also put $500,000 into the house with furniture, renovations, etc. So that's including that $500,000 on both of them. But as you can tell, an extra 5% per year. And guys, you and I know how much 5% per year is. That's doubling. That's an extra doubling of your money every 14 years or so. So if you're getting started, your goal is to buy as many properties as possible. I'm not condoning low down payments as a way of get rich quick. I'm condoning it as a way of getting your experience because later on down the road, you're going to be like me. Back in the day, I wanted to put as little money down as possible. I was starting out. I believed in leverage. I believed in those high returns. Now I'm more like, listen, I just want a good cash flowing property with less stress and a property that just grows. I don't need to make 25% returns to hit my goals. Heck, I don't even make 15% returns to hit my goals. So for me, deploying more cash at good rates of return is more important than getting the extra high rates of return on low amounts of cash. Saving and putting more money down is still important. Having that financial cushion helps cover unexpected expenses in the property because you have that extra cash flow. And if you ever need to sell the property quickly, if you only put 3.5% down, there's a chance you might have to come out of pocket at closing. And if you need to sell the property quickly, it probably means you're running out of cash, which means you don't have that money to put down. So it's not just some magic bullet that makes everything rosy. There are downsides to it. Another downside to this is, especially those of you who have spouses, female spouses, they don't want to move around every year or two. So this is great if you're young, you don't have a spouse, because guys, moving in and out of places every 1 or 2 years, boy, that can be aggravating. Now, with that said, it's also nice to build a portfolio. Imagine if you're 22, 23, just leaving college, and you can start doing that. And by the age of 32, 33, you've built up 10 or 15 units. God, the future looks very bright for you financially. But you got to move a lot. And when you're young, that's fine. Another story, you guys have seen a video. I once rented my house to Shaq when he came to Cleveland. I was 27 years old, just built this beautiful home, but it was a cool story. He gave me a lot of money. I thought, let me go do this. Today, if that happened to me, I'd be like, there's no chance I'm moving. Why? I don't care about the extra money. They paid me double what they paid me. I don't care. I don't want to do it. Your life changes as you get older. So do it while you can, because it's very aggravating to move a lot. It's also fun to find a home and say, this is home. Not a house, it's our home. Now, guys, at any given time, you can have a maximum of 2 FHA loans that you put 3.5% down on. So you might be wondering, well, then how do I grow this? Well, here's how. If you follow the right process of buying with 3.5% down, put some work into the property to greatly increase the value, wait a couple years for values to increase, you pay down some debt, then at that point, you go take a regular loan out on the property because you've built enough value. As an example, let's say you bought the property for $100,000. Hypothetically, you put that 3.5% down, you owe $96,500. But you put work into the property, and suddenly the property's value goes to $130,000. Now you owe $96,500 on $130,000. If you take an 80% loan on this, you're gonna get a loan for $104,000. You're actually gonna put some money in your pocket, and you can do a regular loan of $104,000. And then you've gotten rid of one of your FHA loans. Go do it again. So it takes a little bit of time and you must build equity, but this is how you can do this over and over with 3.5% loans and get a check in a couple of years. Now, guys, here is a deal that we did with one of the people in our real estate calculator community. This is actually a great deal that was done. And in it, the person was putting about $62,000 down. It's a $240,000 property. So I want to show you the difference. This is a great deal. This deal for 20 years was going to do over a 20% return based on the numbers we did. So phenomenal deal, 20% IRR. Guys, here's how much it changes if you're able to buy the same property with only $10,000 down payment. So I changed this. It's a little bit over $10,000, about $11,700 because of closing costs and things like that. But look at the deal returns. It grows to 30% per year. So doing this, and this is a 3-unit, doing this over and over every 2 or 3 years can make you extremely, extremely wealthy. Now, guys, this software is really important. And the reason being I use this all the time, I've used this for every real estate acquisition I do. In fact, somebody I know in New York City, he's probably watching this video now, he told me that he recently used the software for one of their he works at a very large multi-billion-dollar company that buys, I probably won't get into what they buy, but they buy very, very expensive properties, $100, $200 million properties. He used this and he compared it to his Excel sheet they use in-house. He goes, Paul, it was pretty much the exact same returns. So he loves using it. I use it. We use it for our $30 million acquisitions, our $10 million ones. Guys, it's important you understand the numbers. It's important you understand how the numbers will affect your deal. So if you want access to this software, go start right now. $7 for 7 days. Go try it out. Click the link in the description below to go try out the software. It'll make you a better real estate investor. And guys, if you do one real estate deal a year, is it worth $1 a day? Abso-freaking-lutely. But guess what? We don't just want people who want to test it out and leave. Make sure you're serious about doing it before you do it. We want the best of the best joining our communities. We don't want you to come in and then leave. We want the best of the best. So if that's you, click on the link, spend $1 a day. That's why we give such a great deal to great people. If you guys want to learn more about real estate, soup to nuts, watch our next video, which is the full real estate course. Thank you for your time.